Hello out there. Welcome into the Lettermen Lounge. This is Lettermen Live. It's brought to you by Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. It's one of the best places you can ever stop in Columbus, Ohio, the greatest city in the world. I am Austin Ward. This is Nicole Cox from Roosters. That's Jay-Z, Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, and Jerome Birmingham, or Jeremy, or Berm. Jeremetrius. He's a man of many names and a man of many signs. We've had to replace him, and we have two new ones that are back at the table. So, Bob, please keep your eyes on those.
Berm's got some sticky fingers.
He's checking him on the way out. He's got to be at the door. Pat him down.
All right, a great weekend for the Buckeyes program. 10 more guys accomplishing their goals, reaching their dreams. They're heading to the NFL. 10 that were drafted, a few more that signed some undrafted free agent deals. Berm has some recruiting insight that we will talk about later on in the show.
Really?
Tasty.
Nice. What do we?
All right.
Yeah. Oh.
This is news to him.
Cool.
The news that he broke on Sunday. He apparently has already forgot about it. He's on
to the next one.
And then we'll dive into maybe what's going on in the transfer portal, one on the way out, maybe one on the way in. We'll see what happens. But I know that Thursday night, Nicole had plans. I don't know which Roosters location she was at, but she sent the picture to me. A delicious frosty beverage.
Yes.
I think some wings in front. And then the notebook that's right here.
Yes.
So
we had some
that was the prime
note-taking. Yes.
draft location.
I wish I could have heard, like, the corner we were in. I couldn't hear it as well because everybody was excited. So I could see everything, and it was just so exciting. But we actually left before because we had our son with us, so it was getting late. But it was amazing to see Justin Fields. We were home by that point, but it was just so great to see him being drafted, and you guys, Lettermen Row, breaking it before it happened because they were dragging it out. I was like, okay, just announce it already. Just announce. So very, very exciting.
Yeah. What do you guys think, Jay-Z? What did that spot there with the Bears, and what did Craig Krenzel think?
I don't even know if he knows. No, I'm teasing. Well, one, I think it was silly that you were able to get home before he was drafted because that just blew my mind. I thought somebody in that top 5 would have jumped up there. I thought Atlanta maybe would have. I thought it made sense for them. But in the end, he falls down, and the Bears come to jump up to get him. I love it. I know Matt Nagy. I got to be on the Columbus Destroyers with
That's
him
awesome.
for a year. Yeah. And he was the starting quarterback. Great dude. I'll be a fan of his forever. I think he's very smart. You know, that was the time that summer after that season he went and started interning with Andy Reid in Philadelphia because he was from Philly. Okay. And so he got in, and that's how he started his things. I'm excited for Justin to go and be coached by him, and we just got to break this stigma of Ohio State quarterbacks not doing well in the league, and I think Justin is, going to give us one of our best shots to do that.
It's interesting. It's a great situation, I think, for him to go into. There is going to be total alignment for them to get this thing done. They're going to play him early. I know the Bears tweeted out the QB1 with Andy Dalton. Back
that was a month ago.
Back in whenever March.
Yeah, they meant their next QB will be wearing number 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you look at this, how the tables have potentially turned and opened up in the NFC North, you have Matt Stafford for Jared Goff, a swap, which you feel like that's probably maybe a subtraction, if you will, from the division. Potentially Aaron Rodgers on his way out of Green Bay demanding that. And then you have Justin Fields entering with the Bears. So, you have a lot of quarterback uncertainty in a division that had some really elite quarterbacks for a long time. So I think that's a great opportunity for him. They've got to win early. The thing I don't want to see have happen to him is, when you draft a quarterback, if you don't have success, because this was it for Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, they've got to get it done this year. And I think getting it done is, hey, you can be around 500, 8-8 or whatever. I guess it would be now 9-8 or 8-9, but you can be in that vicinity as long as you look like you have somewhat of a competent offense moving forward. That is what they were lacking last year. And if they have that, I think they'll be even better. So, because if not, those guys are all getting fired, and then you don't want to see Justin have to restart with either an organization making the decision of, do we want to hire the best coach and try to force him to work with Justin, or then do we just hire a coach who wants to work with Justin, who may not be the best guy for the job? And so the uncertainty there would stink, but I think that they're going to pour it all in on him. They're going to make sure he has all the assets to succeed. I like their offense for the most part. I like in the second round how they draft a tackle to give him a little bit of help. And so hopefully this thing begins to move in the right direction and he can break this stigma of that being really the only position that Ohio State hasn't had success.
Yeah, do you think they'll use Andy Dalton there as a guy just
I think you have to. I think that's the beauty of having a guy like Dalton there is that Justin doesn't need to go be thrust into being
first game of the
starter.
year. Yeah.
Now, he should ultimately take that job over, but you're not forced to be in that spot. And I think that, you talk about the stigma about Ohio State quarterbacks. Dwayne Haskins had that situation happen in Washington where 1 year in, there's a whole new coaching staff and his entire
first coaching staff didn't even seem to want him in the
right.
first place.
And his entire career. Justin Fields at least had a team that traded up to go get him. So maybe you slide down to 11 and don't love it, but you know that the team that drafted you wanted you. They made some moves to go get you. And quite honestly, nobody. The Falcons aren't avoiding picking Kyle Pitts because Aaron Hernandez murdered someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So can we just stop talking about
A couple people, I think.
Right. I just think that let's stop.
That's beside the
Let's stop worrying about what happened with Ohio State quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well, that wasn't
90.
That wasn't the angle I was going to take on the stigma, but
But it's early in the show, and I wanted to make sure we went off the rails
Real quick. Yeah,
certainly
I like
did.
it.
Yeah.
I think all three of you used that word with the stigma, and Ohio State to me doesn't bear responsibility for that once they leave, because you guys are all talking about the fits. Like, is Nagy going to be, the right quarterback coach, or put Justin Fields in the right situation? Is Dwayne Haskins, does he take that work ethic with him? Or does he let being home impact him with Washington? Everything that's happened to these quarterbacks when they leave is not a reflection on what they did at Ohio State. It doesn't make sense. Like, Michigan didn't turn Tom Brady into the greatest quarterback of all time.
They tried to bench him for Drew
He
Henson.
split time, didn't he?
Tried to bench him.
That's what's so silly about these arguments about trying to pick and choose where they went to college and give them credit for what happens when you're pro. Bob, you may know this better than anybody. Like, you get developed and you get trained to go to the NFL when you're here, but once you go on your own, you are on your own. It doesn't matter where you went to school after that.
And so you're getting the training. And number one, when it starts to transcend coaches over 25 years, Bobby Hoying has nothing to do with these guys. Art Schleicher has nothing to do with any of these guys. You start getting it, so it's so far away. It's not like there's the same system, the same coaches they were working with. So that doesn't have anything to do with it. They're their own unique individual. I'm not going to hold Trent Richardson against Najee Harris. That's the reality of it. So you have to evaluate these guys based upon what they are. Justin and Dwayne are very different guys, from a personality standpoint. And so, some of the shortcomings I think that Dwayne had maturity-wise from only really being a one-year starter and some things, I don't think Justin possesses any of those. And so he's a much better athlete, has really good arms. So I think he's going to be fine. And his history with that, it only goes so far to me. Yeah, maybe the training you're getting, the mentality guys develop, but then also you have to look at who these human beings are, Berm.
Yeah, Justin is proven from the minute he walked into the Ohio State program what he was as a leader, as a guy that people followed in the locker room. Dwayne did a lot of really great things, but I don't know that outside of the fact that they played the quarterback position and they played at Ohio State, that there's a lot of similarities between them. And, and I guess all the Big Ten records they break, but, they're not the same guy. And hopefully Dwayne, because of the situation he walked into in Washington, and now he's in a better one with Pittsburgh, you hope that his career's not over by a long shot. So let's not just write him off either. But Justin's, future has nothing to do with what happened 2 years ago.
It's just the easy, lazy way for guys
talking heads.
4-letter networks can come out and say bad stuff about Ohio State, in my opinion, because we dealt with it the whole draft process with Justin Fields. Just things just kept coming out, and where is this coming from? We have not seen this. We have not heard this from any of the coaches.
It may have been coming from Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy.
It's the smokescreen, right? Yeah, exactly.
Hey, this guy's a bad dude. You don't want to take him.
Belichick or those guys, who are in the teens wanting him to fall down to him. But, we wish him the best.
I think with quarterbacks, too, I think that out of all the positions, it's a lot of guys stay in that position for a really long time. So when you are each year drafting quarterbacks, there sometimes isn't a position for them at that time,
right.
So I think, too, Justin has shown, it's like as an adult starting a new job with people you don't know. That's hard if you've been working with the same people for so long. And I think Justin has shown, especially through COVID, how he adapts to the situations he's in and is able to play with, he tries to learn to play with any situation he's given. So all these new people, I feel like he's very open-minded and will be very successful.
Well, we've heard from Ohio State quarterbacks and those who've worked with Ryan Day how, challenging it can be to learn that playbook and that system. And Bob, what's the joke about it?
Said he got it done in one read.
One read. Okay, well, he was a one read through the playbook guy and got it. And it normally takes guys a year or more. I talked about this with Bob on Morning Juice that, Dwayne Haskins, he's on the way to the Heisman Trophy ceremony in year one, and Ryan Day is saying, well, we've got about 60% of the playbook in for him. Justin Fields came in. He didn't have any of the previous experience that Dwayne Haskins did, and gets it from March on and goes to the Heisman Trophy ceremony. The guy has always been smart. He's always had that ability to assimilate, to become a leader. That happened for him really quick for Ohio State. We'll see if the same thing, happens when he goes into a room of adult men and established veterans at the NFL level. But when it comes back to Ohio State, the only thing that truly matters for Ryan Day, Kevin Wilson, or Corey Dennis, or anybody else in this program is that they now have 2 first-round draft picks in 3 years at quarterback. Whatever happens to them after, if you're talking to a 5-star quarterback recruit, can you get me to the league? Can you make me a first-round pick? Ohio State's building more evidence that they can do that. They already have the number 1 rated recruit for next year, as Berm knows. But this thing will not slow down. This will keep building because they've now got the evidence where they can go. What happens after that, it just doesn't impact.
Well, and then you have Joe Burrow in there too, and the way that he developed at Ohio State and the time he had with Ryan Day, that he then used that to launch himself. And we've seen it even just with walk-ons, with the preferred walk-ons in the Ohio State program. They come in and spend 2 or 3 years with Ryan Day and then go somewhere else to play. And it's something that's going to happen. And when you have a quarterback room that the Buckeyes currently have of C.J. Stroud, of Kyle McCord, of Jack Miller, Quinn Ewers coming in, there's a lot of these guys that are not going to be there for 4 years. And maybe not all of them end up leaving from Ohio State to the NFL because they may have to make a stop somewhere else to get a chance to get on the field. But the chance to work with Ryan Day is valuable to these kids, and it's a big selling point for Ohio State on the recruiting trail.
Nicole, everybody who gets drafted or signs a contract professionally deserves a Buckeye leave. But at Roosters, we just talk about one person. Now that Schlegel is gone, we just keep it on one.
Ooh, guys, you can't do it for me.
Well, you can go last then, Nicole.
Okay, I'll go last.
The best fit, the best story, the worst slide. What stood out to you? What was your number 1 takeaway for a Buckeye over those 3 days? Bob.
I was glad I stayed up till
last pick on Friday night.
Last pick on Friday night to watch Barron go, because I thought he would go in the 3rd round, and I think him going to Denver was really solid. Like obviously where Pete went, I would have to probably say Josh Myers. He's the one that no one really talked about throughout this draft. It was Wyatt Davis and then Josh. And ultimately, he got drafted ahead of him. He's going to Green Bay, replacing a Buckeye who was the first-team All-Pro last year, and Corey Linsley, who signs a monster deal to go out to Los Angeles. Probably a little negative on that, so he might need 2 Buckeye leaves, one to make him feel better. His quarterback said he's not coming back.
But maybe snap to Aaron Rodgers. Oh no, wait, no, I don't.
But maybe I won't. I could if the general manager is gone. So there's a lot going on there. But I think Josh Myers is someone that no one talks about. You never talk about the offensive linemen, especially interior guys, and he was kind of the second guy. And all of a sudden, in the 2nd round, hey, poof, David Copperfield, he's off the board. They're drafting him to replace another Buckeye who is one of the best in the league.
Or number 71. I think it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, perfect.
There you go.
Berm is deep.
Anyone else?
He's deep.
Well, I'm just thinking like,
Bob can just
you go ahead and keep thinking. I'll take the easy one.
please do.
I was just going to say Pete Warner because I think when he was here, Pete the Meat. When he was here, I don't think he was thought
appreciated,
of.
yeah.
Appreciated. Yeah, that's the word I was looking. Appreciated the way he should have been, and then you heard going into the draft that week, man, he might be a sleeper in the late 1st or early 2nd, then to be the first or the second Ohio State player taken the first that day. And, that's good for him. He put in the work. He was a 3-time starter and all that, blah blah blah. But he just didn't get the appreciation here, and I don't know why that is. Maybe we had that bad year in 2018, and everybody just kind of formed their opinions off of that.
So weird how a team with 4 first-year starters at linebacker.
Well, right, exactly. I mean, yeah.
Somebody commented, Jay-Z, and you guys know how little I like to pay attention to these, but Spencer sent it to me. He's like, am I the only one who thinks that Pete Warner was a complete liability for the Ohio State defense? And there's still these people that are out there. He was the best defender on the team. Mm-hmm. What kind of liability?
Without question.
I just don't. Sometimes I think that it's purposeful trolling, and it is. We've talked about this before, Jay-Z, going back to 2018 and holding that against him. I don't know what anyone saw that could have possibly convinced them in the last 2 years that Pete Warner was a liability.
Yep.
And the NFL teams.
Yeah, so good for him. He gets to kind of put up a, middle finger on the way.
Wyatt Davis is replacing a Buckeye in Minnesota too, right? With Elflein going to Carolina.
Yeah.
But my choice, and it might.
I think Elflein was already gone to the Jets. But
you're gone.
Yeah.
So Sean Wade, I think. I know he goes a little later than anyone ever thought he would have before the start.
Dad's a fan of the program.
Before this season. before the season started, and Sean obviously had some ups and downs. I mean, the guy was still a first-team All-American, like consensus All-American, despite not playing particularly well most of the year. I think most people watched the film and say that wasn't great. Now, you can, hem and haw on how much of that was his responsibility, how much of it is, just the situation the Buckeyes were in, but I think Baltimore is a great situation for him, and he's the type of player that will really thrive in their system. They always find a way to use those long corners and the defensive backs that are really physical. I think he's gonna have a great NFL career.
All right, so Saturday afternoon, Urban Meyer gets on the phone. He's just calling another Buckeye.
Yes, he is. And so I'm a little biased too, because Luke Farrell loves Roosters, and so does Josh Myers. So guys, they're at the top of my list. Justin Hilliard had Roosters at his party, which was at his little draft party, and was so excited to have us. It was so nice. So a huge just shout out to all those guys for loving Roosters. It means the world to us. But Luke Farrell being able to be back with Urban Meyer is just neat. And I was just so excited for him to be drafted. I was just so excited for all of them. I loved watching the videos of Jonathan Cooper and all the neighborhood kids running down the street to congratulate him, and Trey Sermon's face. It's priceless. That's why I can't pick one, guys. I just
Schlegel.
can't. I can't.
Oh, no.
Schlegel and I are a lot of
10
fun.
guys that got drafted. Let me break down each one of them. And
Yeah.
that's great.
Then get into the undrafted free agent.
I do like the Trey Sermon draft pick a lot. I think that San Francisco is a great spot for him and the way that their offense is, and with the new quarterback with Trey Lance coming in, I think that's a fun offense to watch in the next couple of years. And Trey, if he can just stay healthy, is going to be a really good NFL back.
2 parts on that. Number one, I don't think they're going to ask him to carry the ball, 20 times a game.
Right.
They're going to do it by a little bit by committee. And when you watch him run the football, I don't think he has quite the athleticism and quite the upside. Maybe the arthritic knee, maybe at some point in his future, but he runs very similarly to Todd Gurley. He's a very smooth, one-cut guy, stride. The outside zone will be perfect for him. Then keep him healthy. But Todd Gurley is in, with the Rams, it's the same stretch zone scheme. It'll fit really well to what he's able to do. So I was really excited for that pick to see him go there, because I know it's a place that'll utilize him in the way that he needs to be utilized.
Without running the tires off.
Yeah.
49ers,
Which is what Gurley had happen to him.
The 49ers also got one of the better undrafted free agent pickups with Justin Hilliard. I thought that teams would look at the last couple games of the season of his career for Ohio State and move up and keep him. But Berm was in communication with somebody he's covered a long time. Even before the seventh round was over, San Francisco was ready to pounce on that one and move. You're not going to find somebody more motivated to go make that team, and he'll play any special teams that you want. We finally saw him be healthy at the end of last year and the impact he could make. So just to go beyond that draft, you can still find guys who can make it from there. Jacksonville did a year ago with the running back, which made their first-round pick even weirder, as I go on a really wild digression there. But Justin Hilliard, I think that's a great one. Drew Chrisman, I think he can make the Bengals at punter. Some Buckeyes who have some opportunities, which is really all you want.
Yeah. Justin Hilliard, too. It doesn't surprise me he didn't get drafted. It wouldn't have surprised me if he got drafted in the 5th round. He had really good film from last season. The problem becomes as you start weighing this and the medical people keep looking at you, it's like, okay, if you draft a guy who has this injury history and he gets hurt, then people are going to be like, you guys are idiots. Why did you take a guy who has blown both pecs, blown an Achilles or biceps? I mean, he's had a million like severe injuries. Yeah. Now he overcame all that and played, and believe me, Justin's a great kid, and I think he'll be fine. And I hope he can stay healthy with everything as he did this year. Mm-hmm. But that's where it comes down to is it's almost they start like looking at the potential liability of it of their public persona and their design. Like, it wasn't like this guy was and he's a really good player, but he wasn't some ultra phenomenal player like Trey Sermon. Hey, he had some really, really good things happen for him, put up some really good film. So we can overlook some of this stuff a little bit.
One injury in the middle of playing really well.
Yes. So it's not like, hey, every year, the last 3 years, you've had these career enders and you've overcome them, which is awesome.
Right,
but
great.
We can't get our med staff on board. But you're doing a good job here, guys.
Think about like Dylan Moses, from Alabama, 5-star linebacker like Hilliard was. Think about Marvin Wilson, the Florida State defensive tackle. There's like 6 or 7 guys who were like can't miss 5-star prospects that didn't get drafted because of multiple injury issues, or Trey Smith, who got picked in the 6th round by Kansas City. Like, he was like a generational offensive line talent and had some health issues. And I mean, that's interesting to me how much they put into this stuff, because it's not like tearing your biceps is not like it's contagious. You just, I mean, how does it happen? It's just
freak accident.
bad luck.
One guy tore his Achilles before the Senior Bowl and got drafted before them. So they don't always they're not paying as much attention to that. Nicole, what was on your mind?
Well, I look at it as, as long as he came back from it, which Justin Hilliard did, I look at it as you got it out of the way. So you're not going to be having that.
Bob doesn't like it.
The wear and tear.
I look at people more that haven't had the injury yet and have been putting you're just a ticking time bomb, ready for something to happen.
Bob's getting nervous over here.
Yeah.
No, that's
it's different. Guys, that's why I'm on the show.
No, I like
it's a
that.
different way
Different
to look at
perspective.
things.
That's right.
She's a professional talent evaluator.
Nobody thought Aaron Hernandez was going to murder 2 people.
Yeah.
Again?
But he did.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about that necessarily, but
Well, shot like 2 others, didn't it?
Here's the problem,
as long
though,
as
Nicole.
he comes back
Hey,
from
practice
it,
makes perfect.
You can re-tear those same things again. I wish you could just wipe them off the board. That's really usually what people worry about is the re-aggravation. I will compare it like this. If you're going outside to look at, I don't know, let's say call it a nice, reliable automobile, a Toyota Camry, and someone said, hey, they've got all these problems with it and it's going to be this much. You're like, there's a lot of problems with it. Now you go outside and you can go a chance to buy a Ferrari for maybe $10,000 more. They're like, it's got a lot of problems with it. Like, I don't care. I'm going to drive the Ferrari, and I'm going to drive until the wheels fall off, and I'm going to be okay with it because you look at the potential upside of the situation. And I think some of these guys are like, hey, this guy's a great player. Randy Moss, we'll take him in the first round. He's got a lot of character issues. Why? Because he has the potential to be a Hall of Famer. And so that's what
setting Berm up for another Aaron Hernandez record.
he is. Aaron Hernandez slid to the 4th round. Why? Because they thought he might have the potential to murder someone.
He had skeletons in his
I
closet.
believe that
the ground where he
I believe that the Camry is the most stolen car in America. I don't know if that's still
It
true.
is. Well, because
they'll drive until the wheels.
Because everyone has one.
everyone has one. It's an easy target.
Yep.
Those Ferraris.
Kidding. Weird.
You know who else was
very
a target
early?
for Aaron Hernandez?
Come on.
I don't. Nicole, the patio is open.
Yeah,
The weather-
patio's open.
It is. It was a little rainy today, but yes, it's open. Mozzarella sticks are the appetizer tomorrow. Which is great. Yeah.
So here's what I heard. I know the first, I don't know if it was the second or third, but the number 1 market for draft consumption television wise was Cleveland, Ohio. Number 2 was Columbus, Ohio. So there was probably a lot of people out here Thursday and Friday sitting at Roosters, watching the draft, having a drink just like yourself, eating some of this delicious food. Which, by the way, tomorrow is Mott Sticks Appetizer Tuesday, so that's absolutely tremendous for all parties involved.
Real good value.
But yeah, $2 all day long.
All day long.
So fantastic there, but I guarantee you every place was packed.
It was a great atmosphere. I was at Sawmill Road, and it was so much fun, and it was neat to see all the different fans for their teams. So like when the Bengals picked someone, people just went nuts. And that's really
I went
cool
nuts.
to see.
Did you boo or did you?
They just don't care about
It
Joe's
doesn't
health.
seem like they do.
Drives me crazy.
Did you specifically
Goff
ask
like
for
that,
our
though.
Roosters to be put in on
We
Sawmill
drafted
just for
Jackson
you?
Carmen. Nicole.
No, but it's pretty convenient, and I love it. It's so close.
I haven't been.
You're
to that
trying.
yet.
You're trying to make me say it. Hey, ranch or marinara for your cheese sticks?
Oh, geez.
I like both.
I go marinara, but I've never
like
done the
both.
ranch. I love
You,
ranch.
Ranch
are,
on
you are Anthony Schlegel. You will
Yep.
not choose a
Ranch on
thing.
I won't. Oh no, guys, I won't. That's why I'm on the show. I'm like, I bring a new perspective, and
I like it.
I like to see the best in everyone. So that's why I'll try to
You
start.
don't have to
picking,
take
but it's hard.
the best in every condiment, though. I mean, some people
You're right.
You can like ranch more than
marinara is the
so-
first round draft pick for cheese.
For,
stuff.
yeah, for Mott
Yeah,
Sticks.
it's great.
Marinara.
Yeah.
With a
agreed.
little bit of ranch as well.
All right, you can get them both at Roosters. Appetizer Tuesday, $2. Nicole's gonna get out of here and go get chips back on the menu.
Yes.
for Jay-Z.
I'm working on it, guys.
And we'll be right back here to roll along with this show. It's Lettermen Live. It's Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint and a fun, casual conversation.
Roosters is one of the unique companies that we deal with. They're involved in everything we do, from our personal foundation to also the Cancer Research Fund. And that's from the Buckeye Cruise from Cancer to all the events leading up to the Buckeye Cruise.
They donate back to different organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long, long time.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
All right, welcome back to Lettermen Live. Austin Ward, Jeremy Birmingham, going by his full name in here today, not just Berm, Bobby Carpenter and Jay-Z, Justin Zwick. Let's finish up this show strong. Berm, what happened on Sunday?
Ohio State got commitment number 11 in the class of 2022 from. So this is the thing about recruiting, right? It's 3-star safety.
From 3 stars?
Man, we're going after 3 stars now.
From Sefner, Florida, Armwood High School. This is a kid who his name is Kai Stokes. In the last 2 weeks, he's added offers from Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Notre Dame, Florida, Florida State, Miami, and Ohio State. In the last 2 weeks. That comes on the trails of him going out and running a 10.8 and a 100 down there in Florida. At 6'2", 190 pounds.
Fast.
He's a 3.7 GPA kid. His father is a fireman. His mom is a sheriff. Like elite
great.
family.
I love everything about
Elite family.
Elite family, elite kid.
Did Urban Meyer draft him?
He's going to.
He tried.
He is.
Elite family.
He's a kid that Ohio State offered literally a week ago. And the relationship that Tony Alford has with the coach down there at Armwood is a guy that he coached with back at Louisville 15 years ago. Really kind of opened the door there. And so Alford opened it, and then Ryan Day, Kerry Combs, and the rest of the staff hammered it shut.
They brought the McDonald's.
And they went Roosters.
So why was he a 3-star? I don't.
Because people aren't smart all the time. And sometimes you just don't know, if you – I think it – yeah.
Did they not think he was fast enough? So the 10.8.
No, I think that's part of it. I think
that's
that's part of it. Sometimes you see film and you don't know how fast a guy really is because football speed can look confusing based on who you're playing against.
fair.
And so once you get it on a track time and it's verifiable and then it's easier for people to kind of know that.
They had no camps last year. These guys are all like
that's a huge part.
yeah.
they're amoebas to people.
That's a
No one
huge
knows
part.
what they are.
So he went to the Alabama spring game a couple weeks ago to visit, and they offered him like right after because they were like,
Offer him some McDonald's.
it's likely the little T-town formal wear or whatever they got going on down there.
It's just a gift basket when you arrive. I mean, that's
But
very professionally done and tasteful.
it's one of these things where people are going to look at it and go, okay, he's the number 77 ranked player in Florida right now, but who cares? Like Ohio State would not offer him and would not accept a commitment from him that quickly if they didn't think he was like the real deal. They see him as a Josh Proctor type safety, but athletically a Josh Proctor type player. But again, what you're talking about is a complete package. Somebody who can play that deep safety role.
How strong is he in? He was an Ohio State fan. I mean, they offered him last week.
He that family, the way that they're set up,
Elite.
He's not. Again, a lot of it comes down to, and it's a good question because with Florida kids specifically, there's always
They love
game plan.
McDonald's.
You threw out a lot of big names in that list you were going down.
There's a lot of game playing, but it's the relationship with Tony Alford and the coach down there that really makes a difference.
I don't know if you know this or not, but I might be scooping Berm, but I think I may have actually scooped it from him. Tony Alford asked his mother if he could recruit their son. He asked the parents. Elite family.
Is that like a Jim Trussell move from back in the day?
I don't know what that means, but I've never heard of that. Yeah, I mean, like, hey, can I?
I'm gonna be texting your
like
son.
Jim Harbaugh didn't ask the recruit's parents before he stayed the night at his house.
crashing.
He showed up with a bag.
Yeah.
What's the duffel bag for? I'm staying with you guys tonight.
Netflix and chill.
We can't afford a hotel room.
Yeah. But it's a rare thing. I mean, most of the time, there's a sense of entitlement amongst college coaches where you can I know, believe it or not. College coaches think they can just sort of walk in and talk to any kid they want whenever they want, but it is a difference maker when you have a coaching staff that handles things the way that Ohio State staff handles it, which is just trying to be real people. And that's where you connect with these elite families and you make these sort of connections that happen very quickly. The thing that I was told was that they offered on Monday, but they offered 2 days after saying, hey, we're going to watch your film and then we're going to get back to you by Monday. So then they did that and then followed through. And then, you combine that and then the entire coaching staff just avalanched the kid for 4 days and got to know him. And I mean, what else can you say?
Here's the thing. Kerry Combs has a track record of offering dudes that end up being pretty good. So if they're going to offer a guy, I don't care if he's never even played football before. If Kerry watched him playing tetherball outside at recess and says, hey, this
elite
kid,
competitor.
elite competitor. I watched him flip his hips. He's got great length, good long speed.
Saw him get a ball I didn't think he was going to get to.
We're good. When they rang the bell, he took off. I could see the burst. We're good to go. Like Kerry does such a good job. he handpicks the guys that he wants to try to develop in his scheme, and he's done a fantastic job of it. And so I'm all in. If he says he's good, 3 stars, whatever. And here's the irony of that: all those guys, schools hop on. I guarantee you, Burn, he'll get a nice little star pump here coming up before too long.
He'll be a top 150 player by the time it's all said and done, without question. I mean,
is he going to be enough stars to replace the star that we just lost?
Well, you lose to Sam McCullough, and that's the interesting thing is that McCullough, obviously at 6'4", 210, 220, is a guy that most people think is a linebacker, but there's been some discussion about him as that bullet safety type. So there is at least a little potential for Kai Stokes to be inserted into that spot. I don't think that that's where it's going to be. They're still looking for 1, maybe 2 more safeties in the class, and they have the top 2 safeties in the country making official visits a month from now on the same weekend. So that's really the focus now. And I know there's some folks out there that are like, why do this now? Why say yes to this 3-star? But the reason you say yes to 3-star is so that 3-star doesn't blow up and become, Alabama's next, 3 and out. Because sometimes you got to get those guys for yourself.
If you're sure about the guy, you offer him and you take him.
Right.
I don't care how many stars beside his name, because if you think you got it right, eventually those other things are going to come and you'll see that happen. And so it's when you try to slow play some of these guys and it's like, hey, I'm trying to commit, and now you don't want to commit anymore. And then, all right, well, I'm going to Tennessee. They gave me 2 McDonald's bags.
It's interesting that Byrne brought up Alabama there, of course, but it's pretty much every recruitment battle that matters right now is boiling down to Ohio State.
Just lost a recruit to Alabama.
They lost Jamison Williams out of the transfer portal, and he announced his decision to go to Alabama. Still have Henry 2020 still in there as the linebacker option. Those are the 2 options. It's fascinating how this sport, 10 Alabama draft picks, 10 Ohio State draft picks, national championship game. It's all like it's these 2 teams right now, and then almost everybody else. It feels like.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad we all agree.
The thing is, you just don't know. I mean, again, we're playing in such a weird time with the numbers. You don't really know how the hell Alabama has opportunity to just keep bringing in all the players they bring in when they sign 29, 30 every year, and then they go out and just add whoever they want from the transfer portal. They've become sort of the industry standard when it comes to roster management.
That's one way to put it.
I'm trying to be as
industry standard.
I'm trying to be as even keeled as I can be, but it's a different.
Bernie Madoff of roster management.
It's a different world down there, and for Jamison Williams specifically,
different state, same globe though. I think.
I don't know that it is. Have you ever been down to Alabama?
I drive through it every year, man. We always stop there. There's a place called Op. You really want to check out.
We're from the Midwest. We say Ope.
Is it real? Down there they say it. We even went through they had the 4th of July parade one year. We stopped.
You went through the
watched it.
You said you were in the parade.
Wow, you stopped it up.
Might as well.
Stopped it up.
But Jamison, his final 2 in the recruiting process was Ohio State and Alabama. So this is just a situation where he kind of felt like he had to make a decision quickly, and it just slides into the spot where he's felt
pretty easy decision to make.
Right, where he feels most comfortable. But it's not that easy, and it's certainly underscores the point that his decision to leave Ohio State wasn't necessarily just because of the number of players on the roster at that position, because he's going into Alabama, who obviously just had 4 receivers drafted in the last 2 years, but they signed 4 of the top 100 players in the country at that position, 3 of which are early enrollees. And they return other dudes, so it's not like everyone was gone.
Right.
It's not like he's walking into an open depth chart, really. I mean, obviously he's looking at it saying, "Hey, I can fill this spot of Devontae Smith," but guess what? Steve Sarkisian's not there anymore. Neither is Mac Jones, so don't count on it being the same offense. So I don't know. I mean, it seems like a kind of a middle finger to me, but. That's okay.
A lot of girth on that depth chart down there. A lot of dudes. So
it hasn't shown that much, though. They're going to have to grow in.
I don't know. They had 4 number 1 picks, 4 first-round picks in the last 2 years.
They're not on the roster now.
Well, they aren't, but that was
They've been
the irony.
doing it for a lot of years, though, down there. I mean, ever since Julio.
Can we backtrack, though, and go back to that game and realize that Alabama had 8 of the first 37 picks in the draft? And Ohio State had 6 players missing from COVID and how many other guys hurt. And people are still wondering, well, how did that team get their doors blown off? So, that Bama team is historically great.
Yeah, I wrote about that earlier.
0 positive COVIDs down there, too. Right?
Yeah, which is amazing.
Even if Ohio State had been at full strength, which they never were going to be, that was still they still would have been a decided underdog to what was one of the most historically talented teams.
No Ohio State team has ever beaten a historically great team in a national championship.
Hey, the first rule. I'm sorry. I was
We don't need a response to that one.
But
right?
why would he say that? I don't.
I mean, these guys don't know anything about it.
Yeah. Well, I think
this guy.
not
I
sure
love
the situation.
I love Berm gets so
comparable.
feisty over there. So much anger and built up inside of
Hate in
you.
your heart, you gotta let it out.
Where were you the night that Ohio State played Miami in 2003? Where were you?
I was there. And I was there when they beat Bama. I was in a much different state.
I was
of
at
mind.
home.
Different world.
It was a different world. It was New Orleans.
Remember, that was not for the national
You were
championship.
starting
I
to
know.
make the point that it was going to be almost impossible
Yeah.
to win that game, and then you decided all of a sudden to
Pivot.
flip around.
Pivot and say
Pivot.
it's nuts.
I don't know how to approach that argument if he's going to take both sides.
That's exactly the way I think that all arguments should be approached. If you can accurately state both sides of the coin and be right, then you will never lose an argument.
Okay.
What are you arguing for?
Write that
Both
down.
sides are right.
Yeah.
I just like to be on the
He's arguing with himself.
I just like to come on the show.
It's a challenge to argue with himself.
I just like to
be
screw
right.
things up for you on the show. So anyway, you wanted to talk about Henry to O,
Yes. What's the deal?
and you said 2-0.
What's the
2-0.
dealio?
So which is the correct pronunciation?
When have you ever known me to get it right the first time? I haven't got to meet him, so when I do, I will say, hey, I want to make sure that I can pronounce your name right. Let me know if I'm doing that correctly, Bobby Carpenter.
Well done, sir. Well done.
That's funny. That you got me there. Why do you think you're going to get to meet him though?
I think that
Tell us. Are we going to be able to meet him or what?
No one knows. I mean,
What do you mean no one knows?
Nobody knows
Berm?
what's going on.
No
Berm.
one knows.
I mean,
That's your
that's your
job.
job. You're supposed to know.
if Berman and I sit here and make that claim with everything, we wouldn't have a very successful website.
in this situation, there has not been a final verdict, but it is still Ohio State and Alabama. Michigan's trying to squeeze their way in again. When they were in that initial conversation when he transferred out of Alabama, but the Buckeyes, this is the quote that I was given from someone last week. We're recruiting the hell out of him. So they're doing everything they can, but until the kid and his family make
But are
the
you
final
doing
decision-
everything you can?
No.
I'm talking phone taps. I'm
No.
talking white van with the listening devices outside.
No.
Maybe hacking the guy's social media accounts.
No.
Hopping on Tinder, sliding
Yes.
in there with
No.
him,
No.
trying to figure some things out.
Bob's
Catfishing.
the only one that they actually use to recruit over
That's
here.
true.
So it's
That is true.
Why don't they get you?
Because-
on?
Yeah, why aren't you talking to the
Because
kid?
there was a sign that I've seen in the Woody that said "at all costs," and you know what that means? At all costs, Berm.
Okay, I'm in. Sign
There
me
you
up,
go.
coach.
sometimes those costs come in a McDonald's bag.
There you go.
Whatever
Whatever
you're
it takes.
advocating for.
Whatever it takes.
Oh,
We talking about the McRib?
McRib.
that's
It's back.
It's
Is that why the McDonald's?
Now, is that back or is that gone again?
I don't
Who cares?
I don't eat at McDonald's. I eat at Roosters.
That's right.
What are you talking about.
I don't know.
Do you have any more Aaron Hernandez references, or can we wrap it up?
No, I think we're good. I mean, I'm good.
Felt really good about
Yeah.
the ones he got in.
I mean, I had a quota.
That was
I
he
had
came
three-
into the day wanting to drop some
I
Aaron
had, to
Hernandez.
hit, I
on
had to hit 3 of them according to the over/under.
Bobby, anything else on your mind?
I mean, I was beginning to try to find a way to weave some of that in, but I'm going to take the high ground here.
Jay-Z?
I'm good, brother.
Okay.
Urban did take a tight end in the
He
draft.
did take
by
a
the way.
tight end.
Well, wouldn't he?
Luke Farrell.
I mean, that's a good fit.
The odds of Luke Farrell murdering 2 people are much lower than Aaron Hernandez.
You would think.
I mean, much lower. Have you met Luke Farrell?
I would be very surprised.
Yeah.
if the
Infinitely small, I would
If the
say.
Luke Farrell that I know, the Luke Farrell that's done Buckeye Q,
Yeah.
if he murders someone,
I guess that's the thing. If you're going to take anything away from today, folks, take this away.
No,
It's
don't
very
let that be the
unlikely
only
that
thing.
Luke Farrell murders 2 people.
Don't let that be the only thing.
No? Is that
Hey, thanks for coming back
Yes.
to watch one of the weirdest episodes of Letterman Live of all time. We're going to try to make it even better and maybe more normal next week. We will be here every Monday with our friends from Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. Thanks to Nicole Cox for having us. That's Berm, Bobby Carpenter, and Justin Zwick. We're all going to recover from this, and we will see you next week.
good show, Boopy?